Welcome to Campfire Wisdom. Grab a seat around the fire and tell us your story.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Campfire Wisdom. We are back here in my backyard, and it's funny, I was thinking about it the other day. I think when I first started this year and a half ago, I think, I was in my garage, it was colder, and I was bundled up, usually had a beanie, and now it's summer, so I'm like, this is like the summer episodes here, but yeah, anyways, good to be back. We are here today, and we're going to be talking about day 2 of the Footsteps to Freedom trip. So again, I'm going to be breaking it down day by day, make it bite-sized, and also talk a little bit about what my experiences were. There's some things that happened along the way that I'm not going to expose and not mention, just because I've been asked to kind of keep some of those things very special, because there are some very important surprises that happen along the way, and I obviously don't want to spoil that, and I want to also respect the Footsteps to Freedom team and their request. So with that in mind, let's get started. So day 2, we were in Cincinnati, Ohio, right? Wake up in the morning, and I think I told you guys from last episode I was a little restless.
Check out this big city. I know this is something that we don't really see where we're at, but we got these streets here, right down here. I'm gonna take a little turn right down here. Another big street here, right? We got some buildings all around us. Kind of a cool experience.
We ended up taking a bus to the birthplace of Charles Young.
This is a real special visit for us, and we're looking forward to being able to learn about this great American hero.
Charles Young, it was a badass. So he was born to Gabriel and Amenta, and they were actually born into slavery in Mayslick, which is like outside of Maysville. And we went to the home where he was born. And make a long story short, his parents would eventually escape slavery and set up roots in Ripley. We're going to talk about Ripley later on. But the interesting thing is that Charles Young's father escaped slavery, but then he legitimized his freedom in the mind of people of the time, right, by serving in the Union Army during the Civil War. So then his son, Charles Young, followed suit, right, became the 3rd African American to attend West Point, first African American to become military attaché, first to achieve the rank of colonel, and also at the time he was the highest ranked African American in the Army. So quite a huge list of accomplishments. So we went to the house there, and it was just seeing the effort that was made to preserve it is nothing short of amazing. And I did have an opportunity to walk through the house.
I didn't realize how many people were up there. Holy mackerel. It's big up there, huh? Holy mackerel.
I wanted to see if I could make it. I did.
Hey, good. Oh, goodness. Wow. That holds a lot of people up there.
They just don't stop. You don't hear anybody.
I'll go. Watch your head, y'all.
Oh God.
Wow. Crazy. Imagine how cold this would have gotten in the winter, right?
Yeah. Crazy.
Wow.
Lots of gaps.
Incredible. All right. Wow. Watch your head, guys, when you come down here. I'm saying that for myself as much as for you guys.
And you'll notice in that video, I was mentioning and suggesting to people that they watch their head when they go down the steps. But I don't know if you can hear the thud at the end of the video, but I actually hit my head on the exit on the way out of the house. So let me play that again for you. Did you hear that thud? That's not like manufactured. That's literally me hitting my head at the same time that I stopped rolling the camera. So ridiculous. But something that was really astonishing about Charles Young is he was forcibly retired from the United States military at the time. World War I was coming up. And with World War I coming up, there were a lot of white officers that saw, well, let me back up a step. With World War I coming up, it was likely that Charles Young was going to be promoted to brigadier general. Obviously because of his strong character, what he had already accomplished as a soldier, and it was just kind of the progression. So there was a lot of pressure to retire him because white soldiers didn't want to serve under an African American at that time. So unfortunately, that's what happened. There was a lot of pressure. They blamed it on his health, that he wasn't fit for duty. This dude goes on horseback from his home in Wilberforce, Ohio to Washington, D.C., right? Just to kind of prove a point. Almost 500 miles, 17 days of traveling, right? Total. So about a day of that was rest and relaxation. Well, not relaxation, but recovery. But just to prove his fitness. Like, you're saying I'm not fit? Look at what I just did, right? So as a result of that, he would be ultimately reinstated as a colonel in the military. Despite, there was actually an incident where Theodore Roosevelt wanted him to be a part of his unit that he was forming, but the unit that Teddy Roosevelt was trying to form was never approved by Congress. In 2022, Charles Young was posthumously granted the rank of brigadier general. So really cool story, really cool to see the house where he was born, and just, I don't know, just being in the room, the energy that surrounds you is awesome. So as we made it to some of our other destinations along the way, they started to pass around some artifacts, and they passed around these manacles, these like old, and honestly, they weren't as rusty as I thought they would be for as old as they were, but they're manacles, right? And I just was, I don't know, I believe that like our energy goes into things, and just like feeling that in my hands, man, this is like something that denied someone's freedom is just a powerful thing. We eventually made it to Ripley, Ohio, right? And Ripley is this really unique city that is obviously right across, it's the Ohio River that's right there. And on the other side of it is Kentucky. So you got slavery on one side, Ohio River, and then no slavery, right? The opportunity to be free. So within Ripley, there's this gentleman named John Rankin. And John Rankin is a Presbyterian minister, and he is a abolitionist, and is actually known as Ohio's first and most active conductor on the Underground Railroad. So part of our journey is to experience the church where John Rankin was the pastor, and then also to experience his home.
We walk into the church right before we take on Rankin's Hill here. So this is behind us, and you can see the base of the hill up there in the distance.
John Rankin's house was up this very steep hill from the church, and it was like a beacon that you could see in the distance. To this day, it stands alone, stands out of the crowd, especially as far as the homes. Rankin's Hill is the path that freedom seekers would take to obviously know that, hey, if I make it to John Rankin's house, he's the most active conductor, he's been successful many, many times, he can help me out. It was almost like you had to earn your freedom, and earning it physically through this steep uphill moment. So as participants in the Footsteps to Freedom experience, part of that was like going up that hill and like experiencing what a freedom seeker may have experienced at that time, trying to do the same thing. very powerful. Just trying to soak up that experience at the same time of like, it was pretty aggressive. Like I consider myself in shape, and I was winded, man. It was a little hill preamble to like getting up to the really steep part, and my heart was going. So it was really cool, and everybody made it, which is really great. I was kind of hanging back. I definitely wanted to help people out if they needed it, but I also didn't want to rob them of the experience, you know. So I had this like weird feeling of like I wanted to. My nature is to help. I was hesitant a few times, but there are a few people that I could tell needed it, and it was like a real bonding experience for everyone on the trip. And then at the top of the hill, there's this tree there, right?
This is the witness tree, over 200 years old, and would have witnessed everybody getting free.
And they call it that because obviously everything that had happened in Ripley, all the freedom seekers who made their way up Rankin's Hill, that tree was witness to what had happened. So I don't know, I love trees, so I gave it a big hug. It's like beautifully round. There's a plaque on there that talks a little bit about its history, but to think that that tree witnessed all of these great moments of people, you know, getting free.
You guys gotta cheer one. Woo, come on, guys! This is the house of John Rankin. There's that witness tree right there again. Incredible.
So a little bit more about Ripley. So Ripley is like, I mentioned the Ohio River that splits freedom in Ohio and slavery in Kentucky, right? But the Ohio River was often seen as like the River Jordan, you know, from the Bible, you know, where the Israelites are carrying the Ark of the Covenant and they approach the River Jordan, and as they're walking it, the sea stops, right? And then they're able to walk across to the promised land, right? So I thought that analogy was quite fitting. And after we did that, we came back down the hill and we spent some more time in Ripley. We went to John Parker's house. And I'll tell you what, man, John Parker is a badass. Like this guy, first off, no one even knows what the guy looks like because he made such an effort to make sure he wasn't photographed, wasn't drawn, all this stuff, because he knew he was like probably public enemy number one.
Now there is one site that has, it's actually the Ohio Historical Society, and they believe they have a, what they call a possibly John P. Parker image. This is an image, it's a photograph that was taken at the dedication of a monument and memorial for John Rankin. You can see the statue there. And on the far right is what could possibly be John P. Parker, the man himself who helped over 1,000 people escape to freedom. So this could be him, who knows?
Not only was John Parker a conductor, he was also an extractor. And actually, this is an important distinction. I had always, I don't know, ignorance, right? I had always thought the Underground Railroad had exclusively Underground Railroad names, like, oh, conductor, engineer, okay, I don't even, that's the only two names I know, to be honest. But, so there's a conductor who basically helps, you know, shepherd people along the lines, but then there's an extractor. So an extractor actually crosses into slave territory and actually physically helps enslaved people escape, right? There's this great story about John Parker where he crosses over the Ohio River to help an enslaved couple escape, right? And they've got a baby. And it turns out that their slave owner got wind of them maybe trying to escape and took their child into the house, right? So John Parker says, I'm gonna go get your baby, right? Takes his shoes off because he doesn't want to make noise when he's going in the house, breaks into the house, boom, gets the child, but he makes it back, right, to where the couple is, and they're not there, or somehow the shoe, I'm sorry, I'm botching this story, but the shoes that he took off, right, to go and save this child somehow get misplaced during this escape. He manages to get the couple and their child across the Ohio back to Ripley, and secures their safety. And meanwhile, his shoes are missing, right? So how does he go about doing this, right? Is someone who made shoes in that city going to say, hey, whose shoes are these? So, but lo and behold, Ripley was such a tight-knit community, and they were all kind of committed to this like act of like helping freedom seekers, that nobody ever turned him in for that. No one ratted him out. I can't even imagine like what I would do if there was a bounty hunter at my door asking me questions about someone that I just helped like escape. I'm not a good liar. So, but I don't know, John Parker just sounded like such a badass. Right outside of John Parker's house is a park. And in the park, there's this plaque. John Parker was such a bold dude that he would walk in the middle of the streets because he knew that he was a wanted man, right? People had his number, right? They knew he was helping out. They just couldn't prove it, right? So at the time, the alleys and like other side streets in Ripley were kind of narrow. So he never walked those streets because he was always worried about someone trying to jump out and maybe shank him, kill him, whatever. So he boldly walked on the street saying, look, if you're going to try to take me out, you're going to do it out in the open, and I'm going to get a fair fight. And I just thought, I don't know, I just think that's a cool thing. He sounds like a kind of guy, they should make a movie about this guy. In one of the houses, there was this chain, right? And it was a really cool concept. It was like, what does freedom mean to you? And you're supposed to add a link onto the chain. And obviously the symbolism of the chain being for enslaving people, but then you're adding what freedom means to you. And I thought that was a really cool thing. So for me, I put choice, right? Just the freedom to choose whatever you're gonna do, day in, day out, what you wanna do, what you wanna be. And that was really cool. As simple as it was, just writing the word choice on a piece of paper and making a link out of it and adding it to a chain, that was cool. As we continued to walk down the streets of Ripley, there were a couple of cool things that were pointed out to me. Yeah, so there was this one story about a doctor in Ripley. His name was Dr. Beasley. And Dr. Beasley was, on the side of the freedom seekers. And in one particular situation, there was a freedom seeker, obviously, trying to get free, and who had been injured, and Dr. Beasley was attending him and helping him, right, and trying to, nurse him back to health. But at the same time, he was also nursing back the enslaver, right, the man who was looking for his escaped property, right. So I just thought it was an interesting, what a crazy situation to be in, and I really recognize the extreme bravery that it took for these people to stick their neck out and do the right thing, and it's inspiring. But there's another story of Tom Collins, and Tom Collins was another conductor on the Underground Railroad, and his particular house is also on this main street. One of the windows has a candle in it, and the candle signified different things, right? There's something that one of the other people on the trip told me, that when the candle was lit in the window, that means that things were safe, that you could proceed with moving a freedom seeker from one property to another. And it's just interesting to think about all the codes and all the different ways that they would have had to like communicate to each other. It just took courage, it took bravery, it took ingenuity, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. So Ripley was a cool town. The homes along that strip were just beautiful. The weather was fantastic. Everything was green, kind of like I keep talking about. And it was such a great day. It was a long day, man. It was super long. And by the time we got back to the hotel, I was beat. I was tired. And getting back to our hotel in Cincinnati, I had a chance to do something I haven't been able to do in a long time. And in our hotel, we had a garden tub.
This is happening.
I was able to take a bath, and I can't even tell you the last time I took a bath, so it was great. And it felt a little like I was in the tub and I was like, wow, I haven't done this in forever. But really cool experience. Day 2 was awesome. Oh, I got that mosquito. Oh, damn it. Well, I think that's about it. I'm getting munched by mosquitoes out here. Yeah, that about wraps everything up. So until next time, I hope you get a chance to get outside and wake up beneath the stars. Bye-bye.
Oh, it's only
Campfire Wisdom is brought to you from the hills of Rancho Cucamonga. We'd like to thank the men and women that protect our national parks and forests. You make this journey possible. Theme music by Sean Cromwell.